Right there. All right. For those of you who are brave souls and have come today at 4:30 in the afternoon on January 23rd for the exciting movement of the Criminal Justice Full Committee, I am so glad you are here. Welcome, and this is the second half of the 113th General Assembly. There are some new faces on our committee staff, and we're going to take roll here in just a second, but I wanted to introduce them to you. Our research analyst is a new boy here that I have known for a few years and known his mother and aunts for a long time. First time I met him, I was in the police department in Kingsport, and I got this call of some little kid scotch taping worms to the sidewalk to watch birds get hernias. And that's the first time I ever met Ryan Baird, so he's with us. Heather Asbell, is Office of Legal Services, will be joining us this year, along with our own Michelle Fogarty. She has been here many times. I tell her that she has, on more than one occasion, raked my chestnuts out of the fire, and I'm very grateful for that. Our committee clerks are Alora Stewart, and for today, Gabby Gardner's here. And then the new intern in my office is Rose Cortez. That's not Correz is her name, right? Okay. And she is a student at Belmont. So a big welcome to these folks, particularly the new ones. I'm glad you are here. So, clerk, would you please take the roll?
Representatives Carringer, Davis, Doggett, Farmer,
Present.
Fritz, Glenn, Hardaway, Howell, Johnson of Knox, Lamberth, Moody, Russell, Towns, Vice Chair Gillespie, Chairman Holsey. Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Are there any personal orders before we get started? Okay, let's see. On the calendar today, we had a real full calendar, but we must be mean people not wearing any deodorant because all of them got rolled or canceled. So item number 1 was House Bill 430. That has been that has been taken off notice. Item number 2 is House Bill 908. That has been rolled for a week. Item number 3 is House Bill 1021. That has been rolled 1 week. And item number 4 was withdrawn. That was House Bill 861. So that leaves us today with, if I can find the right piece of paper, right here. We have a presentation with some folks who have come, and I appreciate them very much. So if you would come forward, please. We're going to go out of session here in just a second. Rico X and Kelsey Hall, they're both from Project Return, and they have a presentation for us, and welcome, and we'll go out of session for your comments, and if you'll turn your mics on, and then make sure that you introduce yourself for the record so we know who you are. Go ahead.
Right. Good afternoon, and special thanks to Chairman Halsey for allowing us to speak. Again, my name is Rico X. I'm the CEO of Project Return.
And I'm Kelsey Hall. I'm the External Affairs Director at Project Return. Thank you for this opportunity.
Indeed. All right, so Project Return, we are an organization that works in the reentry space. Obviously, as it relates to incarceration, recidivism in the state of Tennessee, we recently have seen that the recidivism rate has gone down to about 30%, 29.6%. But in our view, that there's still much more work to be done as it relates to incarceration in the state of Tennessee. So one of the things that we directly confront on a daily basis is really helping people returning home from incarceration, really help to mitigate those barriers as it relates to unemployment in particular. As you can see, with regards to compared to the lower unemployment rate for the state of Tennessee, it is really 9 to 10 times higher for those that are formerly incarcerated. And so at the genesis of Project Return was really prison ministry. And so our founders, Reverend Barnes, Reverend Beiswinger, um, they were doing prison ministry, and they were finding that some of the people that they were ministering to um, would get out, and then over time they would see people come back. And so at Project Return, like, our vision is really designed to help people really achieve a full and free life after incarceration. And so one of the ways in which we do that, and what we saw, was that the huge barrier was around workforce development and employment. So at Project Return, we have kind of a two-pronged approach as it relates to our work. I think first and foremost, it is really confronting this urgency around employment and helping people to find employment opportunities from an immediate level. And then beyond that, it is also really helping them to get on a trajectory towards long-term employment and sustainability. In addition to that, another major component of Project Return's work is really the relationship building, the wraparound supports that we are able to give. And ultimately, it is about meeting people where they are at. Some of the things that we've done, and again, we have a wide variety of wraparound services, and so just a few references: the procurement of state IDs, birth certificates. Food insecurity is something that we confront on a daily basis, and so over 11,000 food bags and meals that are served to participants, helping them with also different medical examinations, dental medical needs, so on and so forth, transportation assistance, housing vouchers, outfitting people for work. So there's a wide variety of things that goes into the work of Project Return, in addition to, first and foremost, again, the workforce development component, and being able to either directly hire as well as refer people to workforce development opportunities. And so one of the things that is unique about Project Return is some of our social enterprises. And so we believe that, yes, there are a number of industries, a number of companies that are willing to hire, but we have the ability to actually hire people internally, in-house, and that is through our social enterprises. So I'm going to hand it to Kelsey to talk through those specifically.
Yeah, thank you. So our first social enterprise was founded in 2013, so we just celebrated 10 years. So not only are these enterprises fueling our work, but they're also creating opportunities for our participants, as well as meeting the needs of local employers. So in 2013, we were studying the time that it took from someone's release to their first job, and we found that it was a little over 90 days, and just realized that was a lot of time, and we wanted to cut down on that as much as possible. So we had done the work of connecting with businesses, but realized that we needed to be the employer of record, to take that onus sort of on ourselves and hire people directly, and start meeting their needs, working with them. We have a set of coaches that is coaching people along the trajectory of that first 90 days of employment, working with them on their goals towards transportation, toward housing. We actually provide transportation. We have a fleet of vans. We own about 12 to 13 vans that are crossing the city and in Hamilton County day and night, picking up people wherever they're staying, getting them to work on time, and then taking them back home afterwards. We provide clothing, shoes, tools, you name it, just really wrapping around people to make sure that they have everything they need to succeed on the job. The goal of that is long-term employment, whether it's with that company that we've worked with or elsewhere. We're with them along the way to land that next job. Soon after, we founded our second social enterprise, which is called Props, which is a property solutions company. So again, being able to hire people directly, we form small crews of individuals who are getting a chance to earn and learn on the job. We contract with apartment complexes, with businesses, other nonprofits that are needing commercial cleaning, make ready, and landscaping work. This past week, we did a lot of snow and ice removal, so we were able to kind of create employment opportunities while many of us were at home. Yeah. And then finally, and most exciting to me, our third social enterprise is pro housing. And so, again, knowing that employment is significant, the second sort of largest barrier that we were seeing was affordable housing. And so, a few years ago, we got into that market again, trying to stand in the gap for the individuals that we serve. We've acquired 32 units all across Nashville, and we're actually excited to be able to launch this in Chattanooga later this year. So, yeah.
Right. So just a few metrics in terms of project returns impact. And again, I think that we're doing this work, but ultimately you want to talk about the fruits of the labor which we do. And so on average, 75% of our participants who complete our job readiness classes are able to acquire jobs, and then low recidivism rates. So generally, and again, we serve close to, last year we served 792 participants, and so the rate was 16%. For those that actually take full advantage of our social enterprises, that rate is 3%. For those that are a part of our Pro H social enterprise, that rate is 0%. And so, the benefits of this work, of reentry work, are threefold. Obviously, I think breaking the cycle of incarceration, um, having a quality workforce, and obviously, I think there are a whole array of employers that are just by virtue of the low unemployment rate, or are having to rethink their hiring practices. And so I think that is encouraging for people with backgrounds in particular. But then also, I think for us, it is also finding ways to create upskill opportunities and real life experiences for our participants. One of the things that I think that we also talk about in terms of saving taxpayers' dollars is, last year, just by virtue of the people that we work with, and really preventing recidivism amongst the vast majority of our participants, we saved a little over $4 million when you factor in the cost of incarceration on a day-to-day basis. So again, we mentioned it before, but we've been in existence for 45 years now. And in 2021, we did expand into Chattanooga, and so that happened September of 2021. And so just over the course of the last couple of years, we've served 440 participants, 165 of which were directly employed through our Pro E Social Enterprise, and over $710,000 of wages earned. I did want to take a few minutes to highlight a story. I think that we've talked about numbers and metrics, but to really humanize this. And so you're going to briefly hear a story from one of our participants. Her name is Kim, and just a very short backdrop. Obviously, she was a woman who had a rough background, and she got to a point of manufacturing her own drugs and distributing them. And so the point of at the point that we're going to start is kind of the part of incarceration, and then kind of her journey beyond that. Make sure we got sound.
In 2015, it was October 27th, I wanted to die. I just didn't want to be bothered anymore. I didn't want to run anymore. I was done. I was tired, and I wanted to die. At 5:30 a.m. the very next morning, the U.S. Marshals knocked on my door with a gun in my face, and they took me. And in that moment, I knew without, beyond a shadow of a doubt, he took me. Just not the way I wanted. Project Return is the only one that responded to me.
Around curiosity, do you know when you sent that letter?
It was in 2019.
And that letter would have come from me, the one that you got.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm Corey. So that letter would have, yeah, that letter would have.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Wow, is all I can say. I'm glad I reached out, and I'm glad you answered. I didn't have clothes. I was fresh out of prison. I had nothing except the graze on my back. And Project Return gave me clothes. They made sure I had shoes. They gave me vouchers. They gave me gift cards. You guys didn't stop, you know. You guys didn't stop. You kept pushing. And then it was time for me to go to work. I have to say thank you, because if it was not for you guys, I would not be where I'm at today.
So for me, I am 8 months into this role as CEO, and it has been an honor and privilege. And for me, I think the thing that keeps me coming back every single day is, are those stories of redemption. I think everybody in this room have made mistakes. Uh, and I think that it's important for none of us to be defined, for the rest of our lives by those mistakes. And so I think the power and the spirit of redemption is important. And I think that that's what this work is about, is helping people to achieve and find traction of their lives and the spirit of redemption. So just a couple of things. I think we are definitely extremely excited about some of the partnerships that we have on a state and federal level, certainly with the Tennessee Office of Reentry. We recently got a grant through the Department of Justice, and so we've worked in concert with the Department of Labor to actually do some of the classes that we do on the outside, but to do them in 3 facilities in this state. And so I think that's amazing. And actually, today, of all days, one of the participants that we did our classes, I think in the first cohort was in October.
Mhm.
She actually came by the office. And so one of the things that we do at Project Return, when someone is able to get that job verification, we ring the bell. And so she came by and we did a job verification, and she actually rang the bell today. And that was actually one of our first cohorts within the facility that we did the class, and she's off to a wonderful start. And then certainly, I would be remiss to say that, I mean, we're grateful for our relationship with Tennessee Department of Corrections. And I think that it takes a partnership in terms of just being able to have the access to be able to go into the facilities and do the work that we do as well. So with that, I will. I mean, we've won different awards and things of that nature, but I will just kind of open it up to any questions that you all have. And again, thank you all for the opportunity just to share a little bit about what we do.
Thank you. Very impressive. Appreciate you taking time. There are some questions. Representative Gillespie.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you all so much for being here. I represent East Memphis, and are y'all statewide, or are y'all just in Hamilton and Davidson County?
Currently, we're just in Davidson and Hamilton, and I think that there we see a need across the state. I think it'd be our goal to find other ways to get in other areas of the state.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so I guess my question is, what is the biggest barrier? How can we help y'all, say, expand to Memphis? What are the things that, other than obviously funding, what is the,
I mean, I was gonna say.
what can we, how can we help?
That's yeah, it's the funding, but no, I think that in terms of when you're looking at really scaling into another locale, obviously I think just the commitment from the local government is going to be key. I think building some of those partnerships and relationships with other entities. Project Return, like we have a housing component, but we don't have a transitional housing component. So that's I think it does take relationship building and partnerships with other transitional housing facilities in the area, as well as from a Department of Labor standpoint, Chamber of Commerce's and being able to have those begin to build those relationships with job partners. I would say for us, that's something that we're constantly on the path of just picking up additional, whether it be referral partners or what we call temporary employment partners, which they work directly with our social enterprise. So either way, it's really building those relationships. But yeah, it starts with funding streams that would be allocated particularly from the local government.
Representative Glenn.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And thank you all for being here. I will tell you that Representative Gillespie took my questions. So those were the questions that I was going to ask, but I'll just make a statement real quick. Over the summer, I had an opportunity to do one of the mock recidivism things where you go through all the process of trying to get back into society. And I will tell you that I ended up back in jail through the mock process. It is, honestly, it is very difficult for those who have been incarcerated to get out and actually get back on their feet. And, I know funding is the key, but I will tell you that there needs to be more. I know that for sure. And I think the answer you provided with local government and things like that. But I encourage anyone who has not been through the mock to do it. It's really interesting what someone goes through to get back into society. So thank you for the work you're doing. And if there's anything, that we can do, and I know funding is the key, but if we can talk to local governments or whatever, just let us know. Thank you.
And thank you, Representative Glenn. What I would say to that is, I too went through my first reentry simulation back in November, and I ended up going to jail twice during that simulation. Just to be very honest with you, so I think conceptually, I think most people would know that. Oh yeah, there are barriers, but I think to kind of go through that actual exercise, you really get a further glimpse of what that looks like. We will be doing a simulation in conjunction with the city of Chattanooga in March. So that'll be in Chattanooga. And I think that we have one planned in Nashville in May. I'll certainly extend the invitation. But when I went through it, I was like, oh, we need to be doing more of these like throughout the year, because I think it's, for Project Return, I think it is, we want to embrace the work, but I also think that there's a responsibility from an advocacy standpoint and really advocating for some of the barriers that our participants face. And so I think just, in venues like this lends itself to that. And there's a whole advocacy component to this. So thank you.
Representative Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It kind of goes back to the money question. So you sounds like you guys serve a lot of people. I saw some big numbers up there. Are you turning a lot down? Are you, do you always have room, or is finding room a problem? I'm
Yeah.
guessing it is.
Well, we have always sort of, our mission is if you can get to our doors, we are not turning anyone down. So basically, if you meet our qualifications, meaning you were released within the last 3 years on a felony or served at least 90 days on a misdemeanor. It's our job to find the funding to meet your needs. So we don't turn anyone away. We're always in facilities, at halfway houses. In Chattanooga, we're hitting the pavement, trying to make sure that everyone that qualifies for our services knows about us. So yeah, we don't turn anyone away. In fact, we're constantly looking for more.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Impressive.
Thank
Maybe
you.
send people your way.
Please do.
Chairman Doggett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for the presentation. A lot of it is extremely impressive. One of the things that I noticed that really stuck out to me is the props program that you're running. Is that something that when you have folks that come in, they get into this program, they take it they're compensated for their labor that they do, which I think is fantastic. And doing a lot of these service industry type jobs can lead to other opportunities when they leave your program, which kind of brings me into the next question. Do you have any kind of entrepreneurial training that you do for folks when they come in to teach them that take the skills that they've acquired, or maybe they have a past life where they did something, but maybe they couldn't quite make it in business. Now they've got the tools and the keys to success to help them in their growth. And as they go forward, there's a step-by-step or a blueprint for them to take and make application to it and build off that to have their own business.
Yes, we do. And again, we had limited time, so I couldn't tell all the things that we do, but we do have something called the REP program, which stands for a Reentry Entrepreneurship Program. The last few years, we've done that in conjunction with Truist Bank. So it is a 8-week program for some of our participants that have gotten to a point of being stabilized in terms of employment. And so they've gotten in on a good trajectory that way, but they have an idea. They have a business thought, but they don't know quite how to structure it. So the REP program basically takes them through everything from just the how to create your business plan, dealing with taxes, dealing with getting your business license, market analysis, and then at the end of that program, we have what we call the pitch event, which is kind of like a Shark Tank like environment, and of course, like everyone gets a little bit of seed funding, but the winner gets a good little amount of money to really launch their business. And so actually the fall cohort that we had, ironically, both of the winners in Nashville and Chattanooga were around like logistics. So and I'll just give an example of the gentleman in Chattanooga. We had a CDL certification program in Chattanooga, and so through that CDL certification program, he was able to get a job with Coca-Cola down there. But he didn't really want to stop there, and so he really wanted to develop. So he was able to get those hours and get the job with Coca-Cola, but he soon really wanted to create a logistics company himself. And so through the REP program, he was able to really put the building blocks together for his own business. And he's currently getting in motion to really get that off of the ground. So that is a component of what we do. I think, and again, for me, I always get excited when people step out and bet on themselves, because it can be scary. I think for anybody to step out and on their own business, let alone someone that has that has a background and that sort of thing. So to answer your question, we do have that component as part of our program.
Thank you.
Leader Lambert.
Thank you for your presentation, and more importantly, thank you for the work that you do. I'm glad one of my colleagues asked about how you could expand, because it really is up to us to determine whether or not we can invest more taxpayer dollars to let you expand your programs. There's several programs throughout the state that do really good work, but I know that Miss Betty Kirkland was in my office a lot, and Chairman Farmers and everyone else's. It seemed like from the moment we started session, she was a permanent fixture in this building and Legislative Plaza before that. And so I mourn her passing, and so glad to see that you guys are continuing on the legacy that she and others built there at Project Return. So just wanted to publicly just recognize her hard work, and again, our prayers are with her family. But I know she'd be proud you are continuing on this good work, and I'm just, it's exciting to see what you all are doing. And so our goal, I think, a lot of times on this committee, and certainly mine, most of my adult career has been, if somebody comes into the criminal justice system, let's find out what's going on there and use the tools that are available to make sure they never come back. I mean, to just kind of break that chain of recidivism there. And there's so many different ways to do that. I know y'all explore all of them. So thank you for the work that you do. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and
Thank you.
I appreciate that. I think I did have the privilege of sitting with her a few times after taking this role, and I think the last time that I spoke with her, real pleasant conversation. We talked a lot about Chattanooga in particular, but when I left, I told her, I was like, I know I have your baby, and I'm going to do right by it. So yeah, I think we definitely want to continue to honor her work and just the work of our founders in general. So thank you.
Chair Moody?
Hello, and I apologize. I was a few minutes late, so I'm sorry I missed the beginning. But one of my questions is, I know there's a role, but with your organizations, with churches that want to come alongside you, and whether it's just volunteers where you need them or they're training, how can we encourage our churches to, let's get on it?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that. I think in being new to this role, I think that obviously I'm making assessments on gaps or things that we need to do, things that we're doing great that we can build on even more. I do think that there is some additional things that we can do as it relates to utilizing the faith-based community. I do know that there are a number of churches and faith-based institutions that do have a heart and an interest for this work. One of the things that I'm very interested in is really creating and ramping up our volunteer base. I think that as it stands now, one of our frequent touch points for people is Resume Day. And so that happens like every Thursday. And we do have volunteers that come in. And so essentially Resume Day is just where we do mock interviews with our participants, go through their resume. We do things like just a quick story where we also help our participants with the elephant in the room, which is their background. So if you're in an interview situation, like how do you talk about that? And I was doing a mock interview with one of the participants, and he gave all the right answers, but his body language just kind of went like that. And so he was coaching him to say, no, like you said, you know what the substance of what you said was great, but you also have to, have that affirming body language that goes with it. So that's an area. But as we're ramping up our classes in the facilities, I think that will definitely be an opportunity to engage volunteers as well.
Yeah. And if I can just add, I think another way, as Rico said, we were founded by ministers who were doing prison ministry, and those individuals that are doing that are forming these sort of pivotal relationships in the lives of hopefully soon to be participants in our program. And so we welcome any sort of like warm handoff to be in that relationship with them, and have them sort of facilitate their reentry through connecting them to us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure there's lots of great churches across the state. I'm in the church I am a member of and attend is in Memphis. And, so my brain's going, oh my gosh, we've got
Yeah.
a large congregation that loves to serve. So
That's great.
hopefully the other churches across the state where you already are will catch word and join up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chairman Farmer?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I, once again, just want to echo the job y'all are doing. It's great. I can imagine being in prison or federal or state prison and for any extended period of time and coming out and not having support there, whether it be family, friends, church, or folks just like you to provide that support. But my question is this. Last year, we passed a bill that provides the Tennessee Department of Corrections shall help inmates or shall supply inmates with identification, birth certificate, things that they need, social security card, if they're able to do that. Have you all been able to take advantage of that law? Has the Department of Corrections been helping see that that's done for for our inmates?
I mean, I think the law, went into effect of January the 1st, and I think it's definitely going to be, I think, the first couple of months for us to really assess how effective that is. And so I think that, again, for us, it is working to really just fill in those gaps. My hope is that the number of people that we are procuring ID documents goes down drastically. So that's our hope, so that can just give us for us, I think it just provides another area for us to focus in on. So if that area is covered, then we can really concentrate on other elements of wraparound services and support. But that's something that we're 3 weeks into January.
Sure.
But I think for us, like looking at the next couple of months and see, I think the hope is that there will be a drastic reduction of the amount of ID documents that we're securing for our participants.
Okay, and like I said, I thought that may have been a June implementation date, but it sounds like it was January, which is good. But that was intended, and the language says that the Department of Corrections shall give the departing inmate a driver's license, a certified birth certificate, and a social security card if it's available and they're able to. So I just want to be sure that that's followed. And if you have any issues with that, please let us know.
Yeah, I can share a small, sort of logistical nightmare that, most people that when they're coming out, they have the paper copy of their ID, and there's a forwarding address for their hard copy of the ID. And most of our folks, when they're getting released, they may not, depending on if they're going to be on probation or parole, they may not know an exact address. And so whatever that address is, it's sort of a nightmare of actually getting the hard copy. And those paper ones is just paper. And so you lose it quickly, it gets damaged quickly. So just kind of a small logistics issue, I think.
And just looking, I believe that it provides that the Department of Corrections shall coordinate with the Department of Safety to provide a photo identification license pursuant to the Uniform Classified and Commercial Driver's License Act. So if the inmate doesn't have one, so that's something. I'm just interested to see how that plays out. And I won't take up any more of the committee's time, but hopefully that's helpful to y'all. Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely.
Representative Fritz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you all for your time today. There are few things on this earth that are more beautiful than redemption. And so thank you for being a joy to the world. Is there a cost of sponsorship per person that you have per average so that we would know what to communicate?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say about, as far as hard cost, which is ID, we give out, you saw, 11,000 food bags. I think that average cost of someone getting immediately out for again, hard cost is $1,000 per person. But then of course there's, staffing and it takes really a village at Project Return. We've got transportation coordinators that are driving people to and from work. We've got managers who are around the clock answering phones. If an employer has an issue with somebody on the job, then we're on call all the time to handle that situation, to keep that person's job, to coach them along into whatever that next step is. So just kind of wanted to add that, aside from hard costs, there is, of course, just the work that goes involved in running our pretty much 24/7 operation.
That $1,000, does that include some of the training that you're talking about doing as well? That's on top of that?
Yes, the direct costs. I mean,
Yeah.
I would say it's probably closer to 3,000, like when you incorporate kind of staff labor and that sort of thing. Yeah.
And that's 3,000 per person you have some average periodicity or average time that you're interfacing with these folks?
Yeah, we actually operate basically a year-long program, so between 12 and 15 months is how
Thank
long
you
it's-
again so
yeah.
much.
Okay, thank you so much. Pretty impressive. We're not through. Representative Hardaway.
Thank you, Chairman. And thank you for your work. I appreciate you being here. The issue of photo ID, did I hear you clearly that you said that right now you're getting paper as opposed to plastic?
It's the same one that people get when when you go get your ID or your new driver's license. They first give you a paper copy of it, and then they mail the hard copy of it soon after. And so I think it's the mailing that, yes, you heard me correctly to answer your question. The mailing is the issue, and we work with child support as well. And again, the amount of our participants who sort of aren't aware of what's going on with their child support cases just as a result of the mail has been sent to an address that they are no longer affiliated with. So I think that is really more the issue. So they come out with that paper ID, and then the hard copy gets mailed somewhere that they are not living anymore, and it's pretty difficult to get the hard copy from there.
Okay, and you mentioned some part of your program that had 0 recidivism. Which part was that?
Our housing component. So for participants that have matriculated through our program, we offer affordable housing opportunities for them. And so with that particular element of our program, that recidivism rate goes to 0.
Okay, and I'll wrap with this. Charlie Caswell, who is the Shelby County Commissioner in Shelby County, that's the title, and Andre Brown. Are you familiar with those two, and have you approached them about some type of joint program?
So I know that prior to me coming on, I believe, and Kelsey may talk more, but I know that there were some preliminary conversations with Memphis in particular. But I think just with like the leadership transition, a lot of those things were put on hold. So I think, from my perspective, it's something that as I get my bearings of what we're doing, it definitely is my goal to grow and expand the different areas that we're in. And Memphis would definitely be a part of that.
And I'll wrap with this, Mr. Chairman. Chairlady Moody was right. The only thing that keeps us functioning as a democracy is that self-governance, that self-discipline. That's the first line of defense, I would say, against us being just wild and in the jungle. And we get our principles, we get our values from our faith. It doesn't matter what faith it is. There are some commonalities, which are the basic and primary underpinnings of each and every faith. So I would say that I second her emotion and opinion that the closer that we're able to connect your program with the faith community, the better. And I'm looking forward to working with you in any capacity that I can. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yeah, this is the second time we have tried to close this out, and
we're popular.
Chairman Farmer.
And I was just looking, and I'm sorry, members. The law that I was speaking of that took effect in January requires the Department of Corrections to start this process 9 months before the inmate's release. So that way, when they leave, they can be handed that photo ID and not just that paper copy. So that hopefully that'll take care of this whole mail issue.
Yep.
So, but I wanted just to put that on the record.
Thank you
I
for
thought that was important. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I'll end it there, sir.
You bet. 16% and 3% recidivism rate's pretty impressive.
Thank you.
I'd like to ask you a question after we're out of here about some specific things, but thank you so much for being here and sharing with us, and I appreciate your dedication and work to a very successful program. If there's no objection, then I have a motion to adjourn. All right.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry, we have to go back into session. We're out of session. We're back in session now. Motion to adjourn. Thank you. We're adjourned.